AP World History, Period 5, 1750 to 1900. Let's start off by remembering raising. R. Revolutions. A. Abolition. I. Industrialization. S. Social Darwinism and Spheres of Influence. I. Imperialism. N. Nationalism. And G. Global migration. R. There are 5 different revolutions during the 5th period. The American Revolution, which lasted between 1765 and 1783, in which colonists of the 13 colonies maintained by force of arms their refusal to submit the authority of the King and Parliament of Great Britain and founded the independent United States. Then there was the Latin American Wars of Independence, which took place during the late 18th century and the early 19th century and resulted in the creation of a number of independent countries in Latin America. There was also the French Revolution, which was a period of far-reaching social and political upheaval in France that lasted from 1789 until 1799. It was partially carried forward by Napoleon during the later expansion of the French Empire. There was also the Haitian Revolution, which was a successful anti-slavery and anti-colonial insurrection that took place in the former French colony of Saint-Domingue that lasted from 1791 until 1804. It affected the institution of slavery throughout the Americas. Scene 1. Before the fighting ended, 100,000 of the 500,000 blacks and 24,000 of the 40,000 whites were killed. Nonetheless, the former slaves managed to stave off both the French forces and the British, who arrived in 1793 to conquer the colony. Scene 2. At the moment, the Haitian Revolution had outlasted the French Revolution, which had been its inspiration. Napoleon Bonaparte, now the ruler of France, dispatched General Charles Leclerc, his brother-in-law, and 43,000 French troops to capture Louverture and restore both French rule and slavery. Louverture was taken and sent to France, where he died in prison in 1803. In Scene 2, Haitians gained independence, but Napoleon rises to power and sends Toussaint to prison to die there. Scene 3. Jean-Jacques Dessalines, one of Louverture's generals and himself a former slave, led the revolutionaries at the Battle of Versailles on November 18, 1803. There was also the Opium Wars, which were 2 wars in the mid-19th century involving Anglo-Chinese disputes over British trade in China's sovereignty. The dispute included the First Opium War and the Second Opium War. A. Abolition. Slavery abolition was humongous. British abolished slavery throughout the British Empire with the Slavery Abolition Act of 1833. The French colonies re-abolished it in 1848, and in the United States abolished slavery in 1865 with the 13th Amendment of the United States Constitution. I. Industrialization. An early landmark moment in the Industrial Revolution came near the end of the 18th century, when Samuel Slater brought new manufacturing technologies from Britain to the United States and founded the U.S. Cotton Mill in Massachusetts. S. Social Darwinism and Spheres of Influence. Social Darwinism was the theory that persons, groups, and races are a primary purpose for building the Suez Canal was to subject the same laws of natural selection as Charles Darwin had perceived in plants and animals in nature. According to the theory, which was popular in the late 19th century and early 20th centuries, the weak were diminished and their cultures eliminated, while the strong grew in power and their cultural influence over the weak. Social Darwinists held the life of humans in society with the struggle existence by survival of the fittest, a phrase proposed by the British philosopher and scientist Herbert Spencer. And spheres of influence. A primary purpose for building the Suez Canal was to increase trade between the Middle East, Europe, and Asia. After 1800, European nations sought colonies in Africa primarily because the Europeans were competing for raw materials and market. I. Imperialism. In the later half of the 19th century, dramatic changes occurred as Europeans began to explore Africa's interior, and by 1914, virtually the entire continent was colonized by one or the other of the competing European countries. European specialists built on the information provided by adventurers and missionaries, especially by the famous Dr. David Livingstone and Henry Stanley. And nationalism. People with the same language and culture wanted to have their own country. Germany, however, was just scattering of many states. Italy was also divided into small states, and even worse, the Italians were ruled by foreign power, the Austrian Empire. Germany began to unify under its largest state, Persia. More and more of the smaller northern German states joined Persia. A successful war with France in 1870 encouraged the last southern German states to unite with Persia. Finally, in 1871, the nation of Germany was born, with William of Persia as its empire. In Italy, after several false starts, the Italians finally defeated Austria on the battlefield, and the modern nation of Italy was born in 1870. G. Global migration. By the mid-19th century, European migrants began crossing the Atlantic to fill the factories in the eastern United States. Increasing rents and indebtedness drove farmers from Ireland, Scotland, Germany, and Scandinavia to North America, settling in Ohio and Mississippi River valleys in search of land. The potato famine forced many Irish peasants to make the journey, and political revolutions caused many Germans to flee with wrath of the government when their causes failed. By the late 19th century and early 20th century, most migrants to North America were from Northern and Eastern Europe, fleeing famine, poverty, and discrimination in their countries of origin. While migrants to the United States came to fill jobs in developing industrial society, those who went to Latin America mostly worked on agricultural plantations. About 4 million Italians came to Argentina in the 1880s and 1890s, and others went to Brazil, where the government paid the voyage over for Italian migrants who came to work on coffee plantations after slavery was abolished. Others came from Asia, with more than 15,000 indentured laborers from China working in certain fields in Cuba during the 19th century. Chinese and Japanese laborers came to Peru, where they worked on cotton plantations and mines on milk.
Atau trabalho. Vi, 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 vi. No, no, no.